Brain Injury Association of Florida is pleased to provide Perspectives on Brain Injury for the Caregiver, a series of short informational videos to help caregivers learn more about traumatic brain injury, understand their loved one, and manage life after TBI.
If you have a brain injury, of course, the first thing you want to know is what's happened to my brain. So the best way to understand brain injury is to understand neuroanatomy. You all ready for neuroanatomy? How many of you love neuroanatomy? Okay, good. Yeah, okay, great. That's fantastic. Okay, so here's neuroanatomy. We're going to be looking at a bunch of brain structures, and we will start with your striatal cortex and go to your medullary areas and your pons, and then we'll talk about the periaqueductal gray area. You don't like that? Too complex? All right. We'll give you my version of neuroanatomy. We're dealing mostly with bifrontal and bitemporal damage when we're in a car accident, which is what we mostly see with brain injuries, or any type of fall, acceleration, deceleration injury. You got hit in the head with a baseball bat, you are going to have a bifrontal, bitemporal contusion, and I'll explain the reason why. Your frontal lobes, they're in the front of your head. Got that part? Your temporal lobes, they're behind your temples, or as I call them, my temporary lobes, because that's where you store memory, and I can't seem to remember squat, especially as I get older. End of neuroanatomy lesson. Feel better? Okay, good. That was good, because there's going to be a quiz later. Okay, so when you're looking at your brain is basically C-shaped. So it sits here inside my head like this. This is my brain. I'm turned sideways. Your frontal lobes sit there actually over your eyeballs. Your eyeballs sit right here. Your frontal lobes sit there. Your temporal lobes sit here. And you can see they're going to smash into part of the front of your skull. And what happens is this part of your brain, the back part, has lots of good blood vessels that connect it to the back of your head. The front of your brain does not. Now, if you ever saw somebody take a tennis ball or a super ball, one of those high bouncy balls, and if I threw it real hard at that wall over there and it bounced back and hit this wall, it would then bounce back and hit that wall, then it would bounce back and back and back and back and back and back and back until it ran out of energy, right? Your brain does exactly the same thing. Unfortunately, if it just all bounced forward and all bounced back and all bounced forward, we would probably be in a little better condition after an accident than we are. But because the back stays secure and the front goes flying forward to hit the front of the skull, it tears the fibers that connect the front to the back. So in addition to bruising the front of the brain, the frontal lobe injury, the frontal lobe contusions, and hitting the front of the temporal lobe as both of them smash into the front of the skull, we tear these fibers, and it's these torn fibers that cause us to have a very, very long period of recovery that takes typically 5 years or more. So you're going to see recovery that takes place over a long period of time. You're going to see a lot of rapid recovery as some of the cells either die off, they either make it or they don't. It's sort of like, okay, we're going to have a flu epidemic in this room. Some of you are younger than I am, you'll probably make it. Some of you who are my age will struggle along real badly. Some of you who are older than me, there's many of you, some of you who are older than me probably won't make it. Okay. You have a brain injury, you're going to have some cells that make it, some cells that don't. That's all going to happen early on. That's all going to happen in the first month or so. It's the long-term recovery of the cells that didn't make it and the white matter that got torn that takes a long time to change. All the rest of the recovery is not recovery. It's learning, again, how to make new connections to get the rest of your brain to work better. Okay, our brain does try to make some new cells. Our body tries to make new body parts all the time. And it does grow some new cells. Unfortunately, they aren't connected to anything. They aren't connected to the same pattern that was there before, and so the information that was in that pattern, that cell was part of a pattern, it's not there. Imagine that we all work on some big nuclear project. Everybody in this room, you're all nuclear physicists. And you all have a specialized little area that you work on, okay? Now all of a sudden, we're going to drop an air conditioning unit down through the center of the building, and we're going to wipe out all those people in the middle here. Sorry, guys, you're gone. Okay, we wipe you out, and now we're going to sit there and try to work without you. All the rest of us can pitch in, and we say, hey, we can't do it by ourselves. Let's get some new help in. So they bring some people in off the street, and the first 20 people that come in, we just stick them in those chairs. Now we have new cells. Isn't that great? What do they know about nuclear physics? Nothing. Exactly. And that's what happens when you grow some new brain cells. They aren't connected. They don't know the story. They don't know what was going on. They don't know they're part of the word yellow. They don't know that they're part of the memory of being at the lake. They don't know that they're part of anything. They have to learn to become part of it again. And that's the kind of recovery that takes place over years. So if you understand the recovery picture, we're going to see some rapid recovery of white matter early on. We're going to see, over about 5 years, we're going to see some cell recovery or death to get you to a stable state within a few months. And then all the rest is going to be relearning with the new recruits that are there, or working without anybody being replaced, because bringing that guy in off the street that says we'll work for food isn't going to teach him nuclear physics, and he's going to be worthless. Okay?
To learn more about psychosocial issues for the whole family by Dr. James McCullough, go to www.byyourside.org and search Caregiver. To learn more about this particular topic, call the Traumatic Brain Injury Resource and Support Center helpline at 800-992-3442.